I want to spend some time to kind of recap the season, tell you a few things, but really open it up for questions, and they could be about the athletic department, about the state of athletics in the nation, about ISIS, Ukraine, anything you want to ask. So, when Mark Barnard and I came here 10 years ago, I thought it's going to be really easy to turn a program around, and I had no concept of two things. One, how good the Pac-10, Pac-12 is in volleyball, and the other, early recruiting. I don't think a lot of you realize that particularly women's volleyball and now soccer recruit kids. We have a visit today from a 9th grader. And seriously, the commitments made to the best kids are now in 9th grade, which is ridiculous. And those kids have to pay their way to visit a campus, and it becomes a socioeconomic thing of how many campuses can you visit. And it's a great advantage to be in a municipality like a Bay Area or Southern California or Seattle, where people can drive there. But at any rate, so we were really close in 2012 and 13. I mean, we were 23rd ranked in 2012. That was the good news. Bad news was 7 Pac-12 teams were in front of us. 5 were in the top 7. And that's the difference of Pac-12 volleyball. It's excruciating. So we had a bunch of injuries, and people never want to hear about injuries because our society is so fixated on winning or losing. Now they're fixated on, was the ball deflated? Deflate the ball. So what happened from 2013 to 2014? So in 2013, we were 9-22. We were 0-20 in the Pac-12. We lost 6 5-set matches. And then this year, we were 21-13, 20th ranked at the end of the year, 9-11 in the Pac-12, went to the NCAA, and people need to realize that in the history of volleyball at Oregon State, they've only gone to 2 NCAA tournaments, 1982 and 2001, and each time lost 0-3 in the first match. So, great 2 victories on our first opening series against Creighton the first night, and then the next night was one of the great matches I've seen as an Olympic coach for my 12 years in the Olympics, as at UOP and all the other colleges I've coached. We played a team from Arkansas, Little Rock, and I should have known when we got there, the Kansas coach, who's a good friend of mine in that region, was Kansas, Creighton, ourselves, and University of Arkansas, Little Rock. And Ray Bouchard was the 16th ranked team in the country, and Ray comes up to me and says, "Hey, have you seen a video of Arkansas?" I said, "Well, they sent us a video, but we couldn't open it. We couldn't open the link." He goes, "Wait till you see them." And I'm going, "Yeah, right." So we beat Creighton, and now I'm scouting. It was Team Bosnia. They had 5 Bosnians, 1 Serbian, and this is not an exaggeration. And at least 3 of them were 24 or older, and I kid you not. And the irony is that the NCAA, who is an interesting organization, don't get me started. Years ago, you may remember, we had a fight with them, and they declared several players ineligible. And here they are, these 23 to 26-year-olds are playing, and they had 8 match points on us in that match. 4 in the 4th set, 5 in the 5th set, 4 in the 5th set, and we pulled it out, and unfortunately had to be matched up in the regional against the #1 ranked Stanford in the country. And great year. Why the turnaround? We've always felt that we know what we're doing as coaches. I know you probably in the community said these guys don't know anything, they're losing, what's going on? Well, part of it is we've always repeated that we have an unshakable belief knowing that we can, no matter what happened. And hey, turning around from an 0-20 Pac-12 season to getting to where we were at this year we repeated a couple of things that our team really bought into, and it's a quote that we used this year. What you can vividly imagine, ardently believe, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to be. And we had a group of seniors. Two of them are local kids, Taylor Woods from Santiam Christian and Laura Schaub from Philomath High, that were with us for 5 years. They were two of the hardest workers I've coached. And they said, hey, we're gonna get this program to where we should be going. And they, along with Erica Nassar, our senior middle blocker, and Amanda Brown, our other senior middle blocker, really just worked hard. And things happen when kids work hard and have a good attitude. You know, you'll hear me say this all the time. When I recruit people, I'll say to them that, hey, attitude, effort, I have nothing to do with. You as a player, or you as anybody, you control your attitude, effort. And if you have bad attitude, get rid of them. Every time I think I can change them, it bites me in the butt, you know? It's very hard and difficult to change someone if they have a completely bad attitude. You can enhance a so-so attitude, but if they have bad attitude, cut them. You know, that's tougher to do in college than it is on the national team. But I think attitude is so important. So nothing's changed since I've been here. You know, we've always said, hey, what are our goals? Number one, compete nationally. Number two, learn life skills. Graduate, be a good volleyball player in that rank order. Hey, no one remembers who won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. Quick, tell me. Who was the MVP? You don't know. You don't even know who played him, you know? But what happens with especially young people in a collegiate setting, they learn life skills. And I think that in the field of athletics, whether you're on a court, in a pool, on a track, indoor, outdoor, hey, you're going to learn something in life that makes a difference. And you know, a lot of people say, well, they're going to learn perseverance, they're going to win. You know, what they mostly learn is how to pick themselves up after they fail. Because if we all coach long enough in life, we'll be 500. But you got to know when you don't do well, what's the next step? And athletes learn that more than anybody. And you know, what you have, even with the Olympics, look, I coached in the 12 years national team. And it was, hey, we were #1 ranked for 1.5 years, the best in the world. I mean, that's an awesome statement. You know, there's not many things in life that you can do that you say, am I the best in the world at something? But sometimes you lose. And the big message to young people is two things. The sun will come up tomorrow. And if you're not playing China, but 1.3 billion Chinese won't know you played unless you're playing China. So, and then 1 billion know you played. So, you know, I think those are things that endure in our program. And, you know, as much as people say, you know, what the accomplishments, hey, we were that close a couple of years ago to break through. We finally have broken through. We've got 14 out of 18 coming back. We've got some great recruits. And I think we've solidified a program to be good for a long time. But what's the most important thing I do? The most important thing I do is I teach life skills. And here's the stat for you. In the 10 years that I've been here, they choose an all Pac-12, all academic volleyball team, right? #2 in the Pac-12 is Stanford with 65 in the 10 years that I'm here. #3 is Cal with 58. #1 is OSU with 73. Wow. And, you know, we've got a 3-4 Q as a team. And, you know, these young ladies, maybe 2 in 10 years will play professionally or on the national team. We have a freshman, Mary Kate Marshall. She'll be in the national team someday. She's the real deal. And Rachel Rourke plays in Korea. She's our other All-American. She makes $700,000 a year, which is terrific. But that's 2 out of how many? How many are going to have some meaningful experiences as they go on in life? So, what I teach the young ladies is, hey, you've heard this statement, I know. Hey, if you strive for perfection, you may catch excellence along the way. And that's something that we really push with our young ladies. And you know, there's no magic in anything. All of you are successful in your walk of life. And people ask me, what's success? Hey, it involves a lot of things. Number one, most important, you've got to have good people. And that's great athletes, great staff, and you know, my own children are 30 and 27. My son works for U.S. Soccer. He's been there 8 years. He's the senior manager of content, manages 11, 12 people. And now, about a year ago, he said, Dad, I finally get it. What you used to tell me, and this is what I say. I said, Mark, once you find somebody who's dependable, reliable, hang on to them. Because when I was growing up, I thought it was 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's the dependability, reliability factor is so critical with good people, good student athletes, anyone. So number one is people. Number two, do you have the financing? You know, and heaven knows, you know, like Pac-12, Oregon State. Hey, one of the things is you look around the Pac-12 for every sport, they have great funding. I mean, you know, we look at the SCs, the Oregons, the Washingtons, now the Arizonas, UCLAs, Stanfords. And you have to have financing to make things happen. If you don't have that, okay. Next, you have to have a plan, vision. Next, you have to work hard, and obviously a singleness of purpose. And then attitude. We've already said that. Is the glass half filled or half empty? And I only want to surround myself with people that have the glass half filled. And if they don't, I get rid of them. Staff-wise, for sure. So to be successful, as we've said, it takes all those ingredients, and then it takes time. You know, one of my dearest friends in coaching is Russ Rose, the Penn State coach. You know, Russ started with me 43 years ago in a physical education class at George Williams College outside of Chicago. He was a catcher with a ponytail on the baseball team, and I convinced him to go out for volleyball. Well, took Russ 20 years to win a national championship, his first one in 1999, because he got the job in 1979 at Penn State. He's won 6 out of the last 8. And hey, but it's not an accident. It takes time. Anything of value takes time. When somebody says to you in any of your endeavors or businesses or what you do for a living that it's easy, that means that he or she have never done it. Nothing is easy. And you know, you also need that serendipity and luck along the way to add to that. Sprinkle it among anything that you need, because hey, we didn't have one injury this year. And in the past, we had devastating injuries in our team. So you need luck, but you know, I call luck for me is the residue of design. If you know what you're doing and where you're going, you're going to find out that little serendipity and luck, because sometimes you may not know what that is unless you see it. I have a great staff, and you know, I know Lee had asked them to be here today. This is a crazy day for us. We have 2 top recruits on campus. We have a team banquet tonight. We have all kinds of things going on, but you know, my volunteer, Casey Bennett, who just took the assistant coaching job in Seattle, Cody March, our director of operations, who's the best logistics guy I've ever worked with, Emily Heiza, assistant coach, and associate head coach Mark Barnard. Terrific, and they're important, and they are why I do this. Hey, I do this for 2 simple reasons. I still like to do it, and number 2, I love mentoring young people. People have mentored me in the past, important people, from my father to the Olympic coach who I coached with and played for in the late 60s, early 70s, Jim Coleman, to my first athletic director, Brad Rothermel at George Williams College, that I have talked to once every 3 weeks for 44 years. And he's terrific, and he was a great mentor to me. My PhD advisor at Ohio State, Darrell Seaton-Top, same way, made a difference in my life. Coaches that I worked with. When I came to UOP, there was a golf coach there by the name of Glenn Alba. He and I started the sports psych program together. And he introduced me to a great mentor to me, Bill Walsh. Glenn went to high school and college with Bill. And Bill had just become the head coach at Stanford when I became the head coach at Pacific. Bill was terrific, a terrific person that taught me so much about coaching. And so to me, here's a statement. I found an old wallet at home in Duquesne. We have a home in Southern California. Nancy spends a lot of time there, and I wonder why. But so I found a wallet at home, and in the wallet I had 3 sayings. And this is one of the sayings, and it was written out, and it says, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove. But the world may be different because I was important in the life of a young person. So, that's what I'm about. I'll entertain any questions. I thank you guys for your support. And I really thank the university, from the president on down to the athletics directors, for putting up with me and letting the mad Ukrainian do his thing. As I always say, just let me do it and get out of the way. So, thank you. Yes.
How many scholarships do you have to work with?
Women's volleyball is a head count sport, and women's basketball, men's basketball, football, and women's gymnastics are head count. So if I give you $1 or $42,000, which is out-of-state tuition room board, it counts as 1 scholarship. We have 12. We have 12 full scholarships. We normally carry 16 to 18 players, so 6 are usually walk-ons. Yes?
Just sort of tagging on that question, we heard recently about the decision for the 5 power conferences to award additional stipend money to student athletes to help with their living expenses and so on. Will that impact what you have to offer your players?
There's no doubt that will impact, and that's a really good question. The 5 conferences, the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, and the Pac-12, are forming these super conferences. Look, I could spend a lifetime talking to you about collegiate athletics. It's a broken system, and there's hypocrisy in it, because people think academics and athletics will never mix for 120 years. So what I'm afraid of now is, do the rich get richer? Hey, cost of living expenses, meals. We've talked about adding, SC said we're going to pay for all the meals for every athlete. To pay for all the meals for our athletes at Oregon State is $3 million a year. Where do you get that? So I'm afraid of all of that. It's an escalation. It's an entertainment business for football, mainly. So who should subsidize it? The NFL. That's my model. It's been my model for 30 years. They should pay for the top 70 schools. Hey, and here's a model I want to tell you. Okay, so let's say Mike and I are at Ohio State. We want to play football, right? Mike wants to major in sociology and go to school. So we pay Mike room, board, tuition, books, and $2,000. Okay? Terry, I don't want to go to school. I want to have a course in personal grooming, how to find an agent, how to find a bail bondsman. Hey. So you pay me $8,000 a month and call it the Buckeye football team. No. And so kids can still go to school. Let the NFL subsidize it. Obviously, people would go crazy if they heard me say this publicly. But if you want to read a great book on that, read Rick Tillander, who was a Sports Illustrated writer and also the Chicago Sun-Times, was a all Big Ten defensive back at Northwestern, all academic. He wrote a great book about 25 years ago called The 100-Yard Lie. And it hasn't changed for 120 years. But we kid ourselves. And now it's becoming an arms race. coaches making $7 million a year, building, Michigan We played in Michigan 2 years ago. They have 2 indoor football facilities. And one of them, the new one, is better than any NFL. So, I mean, where does it stop? You know, it just becomes, the bottom line is, it's still, are they college kids or not? I may have gone beyond your question, but just a little bit, right? Yes?
Obviously, training is very important because you had no injuries this year. What's the off-season look like for your ladies?
See, the off-season, for volleyball, you are allowed in season in the fall to work with them 20 hours a week. And that means each match counts as 3 hours, so you have 14 hours left for practice and conditioning. In the off-season, like now, we're allowed to work with them 2 hours a week as coaches, and then they condition 4 days a week. It's an absurd rule. And the reason is, do you take a classical pianist and you say, hey, it's 2 hours, you gotta stop practicing. And see, it's all based on football and basketball rules and the abuses that have occurred with a lot of young men, particularly in football, where they're, you know, that was the Michigan, the whole thing with Rodriguez at Michigan, that they were spending over 100 hours a week in voluntary, meetings, So, but off-season, they condition 4 hours, 4 days a week. We practice with them about 2 hours a week, so we have these 3 40-minute segments with each athlete. In the spring, we again go to a 20-hour week for 6 weeks. And in the summer, most of them stay here, but we can't do anything with them in the summer. Only they condition with the conditioning coaches. So. But that's a big key to preventing injury. But most of the kids are now injured by the time they come to you because so many kids are playing one sport from a young age. They have no cross-training. They have injuries galore in every sport. And we've created, the all-American myth of making everybody a great super athlete instead of, are they having fun? Are they feeling worthy? Are they learning skill? Because 98% of them will never play in college. So what do we do? I mean, they should learn lifelong leisure, sport, and fitness and have fun. A couple of more. Rick?
Terry, you kind of opened the door for this. What is the correct pressure for a volleyball?
I like it, Rick. That's good. And here's the thing, and I'll tell you, in our sport, the crazy thing about the Pac-12, there are 6 different manufacturers for balls that are used. And so now everywhere you go, it's a different ball, and it's crazy. And no, the pressure on the balls is a key thing, especially anytime a ball spins, things happen with overpressure, under pressure, altitude affects it. I mean, and I'm not sure that I believe Brady or Belichick saying that they didn't know about it. Yeah, right. Yeah. Last question.
It's a question about parenting.
Ah.
You've seen a lot of young people, you have coached a lot of young people. Most kids are not going to participate in college athletics. So do you have any general advice for parents in getting their kids set for life with good life skills?
Yeah, I'm involved in a company now called The Art of Coaching, and one of our big things is a parenting section. And I think what I said earlier, number one, make sure that they're enjoying themselves and having fun. Sport is a great lesson, like you say, sport builds character. Sport builds characters. I'm not sure it builds character. And so you got to be careful of these cliches, because as parents, I'll tell you right now, the parents of the millennials and beyond are over-involved. Are you playing? I always want to say to the mom and dad that are visiting, all right, could I dress you and go out in the gym and let's play, I mean, it's about your daughter. It's about your son. Let them have fun, feel worthy, learn skills, lifelong leisure skills, and enjoy what you're doing. Hey, when I was coaching the Olympics, both my kids played soccer. That's what I grew up playing. And, if you would have asked me 40, 50 years ago, would soccer be where it's at in the United States, I would have laughed at you, said there's no way, it was an ethnic game, but it's grown. When I saw my daughter at age 8 playing on a traveling team, I said, this is absurd. And people screaming, you know, especially, and this is 25 years ago or whatever, 20 years ago, with the parents not even knowing what soccer is. You know, that's the classic. And, you know, my son really loved high school soccer. And I said, well, you know, Mark, high school, he said, Dad, 2 things. It's my milieu, it's my social friends. And see those bleachers over there? In high school, the parents have to sit in the bleachers. They're not running up and down the sidelines. So, make it safe. Make sure they know that they're learning things, having fun. Let them go. You know, in parenting, I tell people in parenting is an old Khalil Gibran, the Persian philosopher and poet, saying. It's a great one. It says, hey, you are the archer. You have the bow. Your children are the arrow. You point them to their mark, let them go. We have helicopter parents galore in everything. You know, I mean, we've had some horrific stories here that, oh my gosh, you know. I mean, young lady comes out in the timeout. She's not even listening to us. She's looking at her parents in the stands. That's ridiculous. In college, you know. So, let them go. Trust that you've done a good job with them. Make them accountable at a young age. There's no accountability because people want to enable their kids or get them out of trouble. Let them fail sometimes. Failure is good. It's the opportunity to begin more intelligently. It's a Henry Ford statement. You know, that's what you got to learn early on in life. So now that we've solved all the problems of the thank you.
All right, well, we finished up for today. Thank you, Terry. It's always a privilege having you here. We appreciate the inspiration. Again, congratulations on your Sweet 16 this year. So if anybody doesn't have a raffle ticket, raise your hand. And Sideshow Andy will make sure you have one. Congratulations to Jill. Congratulations to Jennifer for being inducted into our club. That's awesome. Up on the screen, I think, well, it's supposed to be, is our next few weeks' schedule. We have Brayden coming in to talk next week about more economic development, Rotary Peace Fellowship the week afterwards, State of the City with Mayor Biff Traper on the 13th, February 20th.
Go Biff!
And then February 27th, we're going to be having our club meeting over at the Boys and Girls Club. So mark that down and it will be on your calendars. Does everyone have a raffle ticket? Yes? We've got 2 items today.